The new tax year has just started and you need a stocks and shares ISA. Should you continue with the one you're currently using, switch to a new one, or open a new one completely? I'm going to be going through that in this video, comparing a number of providers. A lot of people seem to be switching to Invest Engine, a new platform that has come out. A lot of people also made videos on this, other content creators on YouTube, so I'm jumping on this as well to offer my thoughts, what I'm planning on doing, and well, because those videos also get quite a few views. So should you switch or carry on using the platform you're using? Before we get into the different platforms, I'm gonna quickly say two things. The first thing is that the best account for me may not be the best account for you. I primarily stick to index funds and ETFs. You may want to invest into individual stocks. So I'm gonna first of all go through some stock picking platforms if you do want to invest into individual stocks, and then also look at some platforms that focus on index funds and ETFs. Of course, it's worth saying that investing into individual stocks over the long term is very difficult to beat the market, but I'm still going to go through options on both sides, even though I mainly stick to index funds and ETFs. I'm of course not a financial advisor, just a random guy talking about investing, so do your own research and do what's best for you. One thing I do say when it comes to a platform is that you need to start with the end in mind. Think about what you want to invest into, whether it is individual stocks, index funds, ETFs, and then work backwards to see what platform actually offers that. The second thing I'll say is the UK has got an insane amount of platforms, and most of them do offer stocks and shares ISAs. I'm not going to cover all of them because that video would go on for ages. I'm just going to cover some of the main ones, talk about their pros, their cons, their fee structures, their offerings, and then ultimately let you know what I'm doing, whether I'm switching or not. And the final thing I'll say is all platforms I'm going to talk about in this video are regulated by the FCA and FSCS protected up to 85k. A stocks and shares ISA is a great account where any money you put in up to £20,000 per year gives you tax-free growth in terms of capital gains, dividends, and bond interest. There's also flexibility because you can live off of that money before retirement age, which is different to a pension where you have to wait until a certain age to access the money. With the £20,000 ISA allowance, it's use or lose, so anything you don't use, you lose, and it doesn't carry over. And that ISA allowance is only on contributions, so it's only on money you put in. It doesn't take into account gains and dividends in that allowance. It's just on your own contributions. Quite worryingly, only 3% of people apparently have stocks and shares ISAs in the UK, which is a bit alarming when it's such a powerful tool to build your wealth over the long term because of the tax-free growth and flexibility that it brings. Now let's go through the platforms. I'm first of all going to touch on some of the individual stock platforms. I'm then going to go through some of the index fund and ETF platforms, and then ultimately say whether I'm going to be changing. You're probably already aware. If you don't know, I use Vanguard. The new challenger is Invest Engine. There's also some other brokers on this list that you'll probably know. So I'm then going to touch on whether I'm switching or not. So if you want to invest into individual stocks and ETFs, then probably the number one platform is Trading 212. The downside is they're not currently open. There's been a waiting list for ages. People in the UK cannot sign up. I don't know when people are going to be able to sign up again, but they offer thousands of individual stocks and ETFs. They actually even offer some Vanguard funds that aren't available on Vanguard's website. It's a zero cost stocks and shares ISA. There is no fee or charge to have a stocks and shares ISA with Trading 212. There is an FX conversion fee if you buy foreign stocks or ETFs, but it's only 0.15%, which is very low. But as I mentioned, the downside is it's not currently open. The second pick when it comes to individual stocks and ETFs is Freetrade. Freetrade are a lot more expensive when you compare them to Trading 212. It's a £3 per month ISA fee, so £36 across the year, and there's a 0.45% FX fee, which is 3 times the size of Trading 212. So it's much more expensive than Trading 212, but obviously one positive is it's actually open. You can actually make an account now. There's not a waiting list. I think the interface of Freetrade is probably the best interface out of any investment apps that I've certainly got anyway. I'm not signed up to all of them, as I mentioned, there's a lot of them. And I should also say, the ones I'm mainly gonna focus on in this video are ones that I've got accounts with, so I've used them before. But Freetrade have a great interface, it's very easy to use the app. Two notable platforms here, one which I have an account with and one which I don't, are Stake and eToro, but unfortunately they do not offer a stocks and shares ISA, so not relevant for this video. There are a lot of other stock platforms available. Before I get into the more index fund and ETF platforms, it's worth mentioning there's a whole load of other providers and platforms out there. To name a few, Interactive Brokers, AJ Bell, iWeb, Interactive Investors, all of which I don't have an account with. There's also robo-advisors, things such as Nutmeg, Wealthify, Moneybox. Generally speaking, robo-advisors do more work for you for a higher fee, but personally, I would rather have more DIY approach to investing, where I can specifically choose what funds and what things I want to invest into and then pay a lower fee rather than paying a higher fee and having my money go into a sort of self-made portfolio based on my risk tolerance. I've obviously just rattled off a lot of brokers there. It's important to look at all of the fees you're going to be charged, particularly things such as FX fees, any trading or dealing fees. There are a lot of brokers out there where they charge you per trade, but then if you do more trades, it becomes cheaper. Once again, I mean, I'm not really mentioning them much in this video, but one reason why I prefer Vanguard and like Vanguard, and we're going to see if I'm going to switch soon, is because their fee structure is so open. You know what you're paying. It's very easy to follow. Some brokers, it's a bit more of a minefield to work out how much you're paying. So now let me get into the more index fund and ETF platforms. And the first one, the new kid on the block, the challenger, is Invest Engine. As I mentioned at the start of this video, a lot of people are making videos on these platforms, and a lot of other people who make YouTube videos on investing are actually switching their ISA from other platforms such as Trading 212 and Vanguard to Invest Engine. I mean, to be fair to Invest Engine, I've literally got everyone making videos on them, and I'm obviously talking about them now, so they're doing something right, and I imagine their customer base must have exploded in their number of users over the last month or so. The reason why everyone's keen on them and moving to them is because they offer a whole load of ETFs, 500 plus ETFs on all the sort of main things you'd expect: the US market, the UK market, the global market, and they also charge a 0%, a £0 completely free stocks and shares ISA. So all you will pay is the ongoing charge of whatever fund you're invested into. So first of all, from a sort of numbers point of view and a lower fee point of view, they're the best when it comes to investing into ETFs by a mile, because that's 0% account fee. The second one is their range of options. There's 500 plus ETFs, and I expect they'll probably add more as time goes on. This is a lot different to Vanguard, where there's a lower range of ETFs available, although Vanguard do also offer index funds. And Invest Engine, similar to other platforms like Trading 212 and Free Trade, actually offer some ETFs, some Vanguard ETFs that aren't available on Vanguard's platform. Another added incentive is that they have an affiliate program, a referral program. So obviously people like getting free money, free shares, whatever it is.
Here comes the money.
So it's understandable why a lot of people are promoting them and using them, because you can also get some personal gain out of it. This is different to Vanguard, who I currently have my stocks and shares ISA with, where there's no affiliate scheme. Please sponsor me, Vanguard. Please sponsor me. But no, there's no affiliate scheme for Vanguard. The last thing I'm going to say is, and I've seen people show this off in videos, and I've been watching other people's videos, is that Invest Engine have a really cool pie feature, or an analytic feature, a bit like Trading 212, but you can essentially set your money based on percentages of where you want it to go to. So for example, 50% the S&P 500, 50% the FTSE All World, and you can then see over time, as those ETFs grow or contract, how your allocations then differ between different countries, different sectors, different individual companies. So it's actually quite handy and quite cool to get an instant overview of your portfolio, and it's all done for you. Obviously I have my own investment portfolio tracker. Shameless plug, go and get it. It's sick. You can track all your investments, all your crypto, everything. But of course, you don't need a spreadsheet to do it. If you have everything on one platform, it will do it all for you. Another one worth mentioning is Hargreaves Lansdown, which have index funds, ETFs, and individual stocks available. They have thousands of different offerings. They have different types of accounts like stocks and shares ISAs, lifetime ISAs. So in that sense, they sort of offer everything in terms of a lot of different investment options and a lot of different accounts. But frankly, it's just too expensive for me when I look at some of these other platforms. The account fee is 0.45%, which is infinitely higher than Invest Engine's 0%, and also 3 times higher than Vanguard's 0.15%. Also, their fees are quite difficult to work out in terms of trading fees on buying and selling stuff, FX fees, reinvestment fees. When it comes to paying fees, I like to be open and transparent, which is a big plus I have for Vanguard and also for other platforms as well, like Invest Engine. Now, there's been quite a lot of talking about other platforms, so now the ultimate question is, am I going to switch? The answer to that,
ladies and gentlemen, drum roll please.
No.
Yeah, boy.
For this tax year, 2022-2023, I'm going to continue to stick with Vanguard and continue using Vanguard for my stocks and shares ISA portfolio. Now, let me get into reasons why. I'm going to go, once again, try and be transparent and go through the pros and the cons of Vanguard and ultimately why I'm sticking with them for this tax year. So some of the pros, they're obviously an absolute beast when it comes to the investing game. They're the second largest asset manager in the world compared to something like Invest Engine, which is a relatively new company, is tiny compared to Vanguard. Vanguard offer a range of index funds, which Invest Engine don't. They only offer ETFs. But Vanguard also offer a range of their own products which aren't always available on other platforms. Things such as the life strategy funds, the target date funds, and the fund that I personally use and invest into, the FTSE Global All Cap. Ultimately, the FTSE Global All Cap is not on Invest Engine, and that is the only fund I invest into my stocks and shares ISA. I've covered the difference between index funds and ETFs in other videos, but personally I prefer traditional index funds rather than ETF index funds, and that's another pro for me when it comes to Vanguard. And as I mentioned, as I'm such a big player in asset management and investing, if you've got, me now, my investment portfolio is up to £25,000, which is a lot of money, so I guess peace of mind by using Vanguard as opposed to a new challenger investment platform.
But wait! There's more!
But of course there's cons. One of the cons is that they only offer Vanguard funds. There's not other ETFs, for example, from HSBC or Fidelity or iShares. There's only Vanguard funds, and some Vanguard funds are actually available on other platforms like VUAG, VWRP, that are not available on Vanguard themselves. And speaking of funds, there's simply not as many funds on Vanguard's platform compared to other platforms like Hargreaves Lansdown and Invest Engine and even Trading 212. But I do want to come back to fees. So, two things now on fees. So first of all, Vanguard are very transparent with their fees. As I mentioned, some platforms, it can be difficult to work out what you're paying. So the fact they're transparent and there's no hidden fees, I really appreciate that, and I know what I'm paying. The second thing is, even though Vanguard's account is more expensive, it's 0.15% per year, as opposed to Invest Engines, who is 0% per year. That's actually a tiny difference. When your marginal fee you're paying is already so low at 0.15%, further reduction, although it will give you more money over the long term, actually has minimal impact. So if you contribute the full 20k ISA allowance into your portfolio in your stocks and shares ISA, it only equates to an extra £30 per year more in terms of that fee. Of course, if you compound that over the long term, you will end up with more money because you're paying a slightly lower fee. But I think Vanguard is going to be around for another 30, 50 years. They'll probably outlive me, so I'm not worried, and I'd rather pay a slightly higher fee of 0.15% and be able to sleep at night easier, know my money is hopefully safe with them. It's also worth noting that Invest Engine surely can't offer a 0% platform fee forever. They probably will have to raise that at some point, I imagine. They also offer an active option where you pay 0.25% per year, but if they don't make enough money from that, I assume for their more DIY approach, they would raise that fee from 0%, maybe still cheaper than Vanguard, but I expect them to raise it at some point. So that's essentially a run through of stocks and shares ISAs. Me, I'm gonna be sticking to Vanguard for the reasons that I listed already, but I really like they offer the FTSE Global All Cap, which is the only fund I use. Their fee structure's really transparent, I know exactly what I'm paying, and they're the second largest asset manager in the world, so it gives peace of mind to have my investments with them. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. A lot of useful links in the description if you want to learn more about investing or watch other videos, and I'll see you in the next video.